Absolutely. That's why I always use the prison analogy. And once everybody taps into it and start thinking of ourselves as prisoners of war, it follows a pattern. Everything begins to make sense. Oh, sure. What do prisoners do? They do little nickel and dime things. Like I always use the movie Shawshank Redemption. That's an excellent example. The movie Shawshank Redemption that came out some years ago with Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins. If you study every detail of that entire movie, you got the picture of black people on this planet. Everywhere. Everywhere. Every inch, every place where you find black people. We follow that prison analogy. We follow the conduct of prisoners. Now, the smartest person in a prison is the person who is thinking about getting out. Most prisoners, they just give up. So what do? They spend time doing little small things. I mean, nickel and diming, playing cards and all this, and then getting in fights about the card game, all right? And then the masters of the prison come and put the rebellion down or the fight down, and they form little groups and turn on each other, little gangs and whatnot. That's all black people do, even with when they say they have armies. Black people who say they have countries. And I have my own army. We have our own army and our own flag, and so they wind up just fighting other black people. I mean, like in Ethiopia and in the northern part of Africa, and you've got tribes running all over the place. See, these are prisoners of war, and the white supremacists are pulling the strings on all of them because they can't even fight each other without getting equipment from the white supremacists. I mean, it's so obvious. And if you think about anybody who's been in prison, and many black people have, just say that the whole world is a prison, and you look at it that way, and everything just jumps right out at you if you're a person of color. So that's why in my textbook I call it what we call going to Attica or Folsom Prison or D.C. jail or wherever, or what's that place down in Louisiana? That place is supposed to be so horrible, Angola. Right. I call that greater confinement. See, black people are all about being put in boxes. And the ultimate box actually is the coffin. But we're always in a box. Our neighborhoods that we're so proud of, that's a box. That's an assigned place. That's a concentration camp. You walk through some black neighborhoods, and depending on if they call it the projects, it looks like a concentration camp. What do concentration camps, if they're sophisticated, consist of? If they're not wooden barracks like they used to have in the old days, they are brick buildings, solid buildings, all right, certainly built, but everything is bricks and concrete, like a prison. Wire, bricks, concrete, no grass. You notice when you go where black people are in the northwestern hemisphere who don't have jobs, don't have money, the grass stops growing. You're running across, barren land. And in a lot of places, what we call the motherland. Look at the film. One thing you don't see, where you see a lot of people, you don't see any grass growing. They trample down the grass. You don't see pavement anywhere where you need it. But in the northwestern hemisphere, you see pavement, for the children to play on. Like in a what? In a prison. Wire fences everywhere. And a little basketball hoop out there that doesn't even have a net on it. This is, that's prison. It looks like prison. And black people walk around looking like zombies in prison. And then what do the zombies do? The walking dead, they turn on each other. I mean, savage-like. And the white supremacists stand back and look at the show through the wire fence or through a gun tower. They've made the whole world like that. Watching over. They're what? Prisoners of war. They made war on our ancestors, and they won the war. But the war isn't over until we stop fighting, all right? We're still here, down through the ages. So our assignment is to be warriors. And we tell them that we're supposed to be dismantling what you have put up because it's illegitimate. And you have made us your illegitimate children. Our offspring are not our own. They're born in prison. And anybody who is born in prison is not in charge of anything. And that's the black people of this entire planet. Even when we look like we're in charge and strut around like we love to strut and act like we are somebody, but we're prisoners of war. And it's only when you know that you're a prisoner of war, that's when you really will do what Andy Dufresne was doing in Shawshank Redemption, trying to figure out how to get out.